We're joined this evening by Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. Welcome.
My pleasure.
Let me talk about this issue of qualifications to be president. You said that Secretary Clinton isn't qualified because she takes super PAC money and has supported trade deals.
What I said was in response to what she has been saying. Washington Post headline, quote, Clinton questions whether Sanders is qualified to be president. I thought it was appropriate to respond.
But is it tit for tat? Is that what this campaign conversation ought to be about?
No, it certainly should not be. And as you may know, I have tried to run an issue-oriented campaign, which is what I believe the American people want to hear. They want to hear about what ideas we have to improve their lives, not just attacking each other every day. But what I do have to say, Charlie, if we are getting attacked every single day by the Clinton campaign, I want them to know we're going to respond in kind. But I hope that we do not have that kind of
Do you believe Secretary Clinton is unqualified to be president?
Well, does Secretary Clinton believe that I am unqualified to be president?
But why can't you simply say yes? She has some of a first-rate resume
Absolutely.
in terms of a life in public service.
All that I'm saying, look, Charlie,
and she's one of the most qualified people.
She has
to run.
years of experience. She is extremely intelligent.
So why
but she
can't you
should,
say?
Because she is, I have some experience too. I have a pretty good record in Congress as a senator, as a mayor. I think I am qualified to be president. So to answer your question, you're right. We should not get into this tit for tat. We should be debating the issues facing the American people. All I am saying is that people are going to attack us. If they're going to distort our record, as has been the case time and time again, we're going to respond.
People are saying the tenor of this campaign has changed, and it's sounding more and more like the Republican campaign.
Let's not go that far. No,
but take a listen to this. This is what you said. You said that Clinton should apologize for Iraq war deaths. Do you really believe for Iraqi war deaths?
This is after I was asked to apologize for the tragedy in Sandy Hook. Put these things in a context.
Tit for tat.
It is tit for tat. But I'm responding, to attacks that are being made against me.
I'm asking where the tenor of this campaign is going, and is that going too far to say she bears responsibility for Iraqi war deaths?
Do I bear responsibility for the tragedy and the horrors of Sandy Hook? So, let's get off of that. Of course she doesn't bear responsibility. She voted for the war in Iraq. That was a very bad vote in my view. Do I hold her accountable? No. But again, I would hope that we can get off of this tenor. Look, the issues that are facing the American people, and by the way, media has got to bear some responsibility as well. Because while media may say, oh, isn't this terrible? They really kind of like that stuff, right? I see a smile on your lips here, Charlie. Look, we have to ask, why is it the middle class is declining? Why it is that we have more income and wealth inequality than any major country on earth? Why we're the only nation on earth? See? Why we are the only nation on earth major nation doesn't guarantee health care to all people. Why our infrastructure is collapsing. Why kids are leaving school $30,000, $50,000 a day. Those are the issues that we should be discussing.
But she says in the beginning of this, she did not say you were not qualified. That's what she says. And you say, I looked at the headline in the Washington Post. I mean, shouldn't you look at it more carefully before you say?
Well, that's what they say. On the other hand, read and hear what her surrogates are saying every single day. So, to answer your question, all right, I respect Secretary Clinton. I've known her for 25 years. I would hope that we can have a serious discussion about the serious issues facing the
And if she is the
American
nominee, you will support her?
I am sure that she will support me. So I'm sure that we will go forward in understanding that it would be a disaster for this country, an unmitigated disaster, to have somebody like a Donald Trump or a Ted Cruz as president of the United States. And I will do everything in my power to make sure that does not happen.
But some people in the Democratic Party are worried, and they say that I can see in Republican attack ads now, Senator Sanders saying...
Why I'm smiling now is the same old story. You're talking about the process. We don't talk about issues facing the American people.
Okay,
what I want to do is debate is which candidate has stood up for working families, which candidate has focused on income and wealth inequality, the need to create millions of decent paying jobs by rebuilding our infrastructure. All right, and I think my record will come out pretty good compared to hers.
As you know, a lot of people are talking about your interview with the Daily News here in New York and talking about breaking up banks and talking about what's necessary to do if a financial firm is too big to fail.
Right.
And they say you don't have a plan for that.
Really?
That you have these ideas,
Well,
but no plan
okay.
to lay it out.
Then go to my website, Charlie, my Senate website, and you'll find legislation that I've introduced, which is pretty specific about how we break up the banks. And what that legislation requires is that the Secretary of the Treasury will determine which banks are endangering the fiscal health of America, which banks might be, quote unquote, too big to fail and bring down a significant part of the economy.
How would you break them up?
How would you break them up?
Yeah.
You would determine which banks are too big to fail, that can destroy the economy.
And how would you determine that?
Well, that's not very hard. That's what economists and fiscal analysts do. If a bank has a great deal of size and the bank is unstable financially, and if that bank were to go under and bring down a significant part of the economy, that bank should not exist. If it's too big to fail, it is too big to exist.
What do you have to do to win in New York? Because this is a pivotal campaign.
One of the things that I have to do is to have the media allow us to talk about the real issues facing the American people. I think our message, look, we have won 6 out of the last 7 states, and with one exception, every one of our victories has been by landslide proportions. Here is the truth as I see it. The American people are tired of establishment politics and establishment economics. Middle class is declining. Almost all new income and wealth goes to the top 1%. Not an issue media likes to talk about, but it is an issue that the American people understand to be true. They want somebody who has a political record of standing up to Wall Street, not taking money from Wall Street, standing up to the pharmaceutical industry, the military-industrial complex, the fossil fuel industry. I believe the American people want a president who's prepared to take on the big money interest and fight on their behalf.
What is it you believe about GE?
What I believe about GE is they are one of the larger corporations in America. They have downsized significantly, and they have moved to low-wage countries all over.
And so therefore they are morally what?
I didn't say morally. I said that one of the reasons that the middle class in this country is in decline is that we have lost millions of decent-paying manufacturing jobs. And one of the reasons we have lost millions of decent-paying manufacturing jobs is a disastrous trade policy that has allowed companies like General Electric to shut down in the United States of America and get cheap labor abroad. I want to change those policies.
As you know, the CEO of GE, Jeff Immelt, responded to you and says he has a plant in Vermont that you have never visited, that employs constituents of yours in the plant.
That's not true. The plant is in Rutland, Vermont, and of course I visited it.
Why would Mr. Immelt say that?
Because I visited a while back, and maybe Mr. Immelt does not know about everything that I do. But Mr. Immelt cannot deny the fact that his corporation has shut down plants all over the United States of America and moved abroad. That is a fact. And Mr. Immelt, by the way, cannot deny that in a given year, excuse me, Charlie, that in a given year, his corporation paid 0 in federal income taxes.
And he says, in fact, they have paid federal and state and local income taxes.
Of course they have over the years. But what I am saying is in a given year, they have paid 0 despite making large profits.
If you want to win the hearts and minds of New Yorkers, what is it you have to convince them about Bernie Sanders?
Well, you know, having grown up in Brooklyn, New York, in a 3.5-room rent-controlled apartment, coming from a family that never had very much money, neither of my parents ever went to college, I have to convince, I think, the people of New York City that I understand what's going on in the lives of millions of people and the struggles that they are going through every single day economically. I think I have to convince them that I am prepared to stand up for them and take on the powerful special interests today who are destroying the American middle class.
Do you have to convince them that you have a plan and that America can afford your plan and that these are workable plans? Because that's the question that Secretary Clinton is raising about your suggestions.
Right. Well, of course she is raising those issues. That's what, you know, her job is to try to, you know, win the election and defeat me. So let's talk about the plans. Do we have time to actually talk about?
Absolutely. We'll stay here as long as you want.
You got it. All right, let's see. Plan number 1. Our infrastructure is collapsing. That's our roads and bridges. We agree on that?
Most people agree with that.
Okay. And therefore, I think we need a major investment. I've suggested $1 trillion over 5 years to rebuild our roads and bridges and water systems.
And how would you pay for that?
By doing away with a loophole right now that allows large multinational corporations to stash their money in the Cayman Islands, Bermuda, and in other tax havens in order to avoid paying, in some cases, a nickel in federal taxes. So that's number one.
And what taxes will be raised?
Well, we're going to do away with that. That would bring in about $100 billion a year. That would, over a 10-year period, bring in the amount of money that I need to put 13 million people to work rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. Number two, okay? What I have said is that in the year 2016, when we talk about public education, it is not good enough anymore, given changes in technology in the world economy, to simply be talking about first grade through 12th grade. That in fact, we need to make public colleges and universities tuition free, and we need to substantially lower student debt. That's about a $70 billion a year proposition, a lot of money. How do we pay for it? We pay for it through a tax on Wall Street speculation. That would bring in even more money. Thirdly, what I believe is that at a time when millions of seniors and disabled veterans are trying to get by on $11,000, $12,000 a year Social Security, and my Republican colleagues want to cut it, I believe we should expand Social Security, and we do that by lifting the cap on taxable income. If you make $5 million a year, somebody makes $118,000 a year. Right now, both are paying the same amount into the Social Security Trust Fund. Do what I propose. We extend Social Security for 58 years and significantly raise benefits.
When you look at Social Security, do you think we have to raise the age?
No, of course not. No. I think what we have
People
to
are
do...
living longer, working longer?
Well, as a matter of fact, interesting that you raised that, but I'm sure you know this. Yeah, upper income people, most people are living longer, but working class people, in many cases, are not. In fact, they're seeing a decline in their life expectancy. So I think, bottom line is, that when you have millions of people on Social Security who cannot make it on $11,000 or $12,000 a year, I think we increase benefits. And I think at a time of massive income and wealth inequality, yeah, we do ask the upper income people to contribute more.
Do I hear you saying tonight that I'm embarrassed by these personal attacks that are taking place, and all I have done is respond to attacks, but I'm embarrassed, and they are giving a tone to this campaign that I don't like. I don't like the fact that I have to participate in it, and I wish it would stop on both sides.
Good.
I wish Bernie Sanders wouldn't do
it.
Are you willing to say that?
Yep. I am. Look, Charlie, you're looking at a guy who's been in politics for a long time, ran many elections in the state of Vermont. I have never run a negative ad in my life. In this campaign, as I'm sure you can appreciate, every other day, people are coming up to me and they say, aren't you going to attack Hillary Clinton on her emails? Aren't you going to attack the Clinton Foundation? And you know how many times I've done that? Zero. You saw me, let me finish. You saw me in a debate, right?
Yes.
When I was asked about emails, what did I say? I said, enough of these damn emails. That's what I said then, and that's what I said now.
But that's not what you're saying now. I mean, the tenor of this campaign has changed when you're questioning the qualification of a person to be president. Whether they're questioning your qualification, which they say they haven't,
all right, all that I'm saying,
or you're questioning their qualification.
You're right, okay? But what I want to say is, when I see the headlines, Clinton questions whether Sanders is qualified to be president, you know what? We're going to respond to that.
But don't you owe it to yourself and those people who may vote for you to know more than simply look at a headline? You looked at a headline and then responded questioning her qualifications.
It's not a question of a headline. Here, something else. I mean, after we won in Wisconsin, I think the Clinton campaign, that was our 6th victory in 7 states. I think what they have said publicly is the tenor is going to change. They're going to go much more negative on us. And they have. That's the fact. I mean, that's when CNN says this quote. This is from the Clinton campaign, their strategy. Disqualify him, defeat him, and unify the party later. What does that mean? That means we're going to go negative. So I hope it doesn't happen. If your question is to me, would I prefer it not to be?
No, it's not that you prefer it, that you make a pledge to your voters that you're not going negative, that you're not going to engage in this, that's not the politics you want to play. Take a look at this. This is from you on Face the Nation in September of 2015. Look at this tape.
I happen to have known Hillary Clinton for the last 25 years. I respect her. I admire her. I'm not going to get into the business of attacking her. Right.
But you have, and that's my point.
Charlie, look, if I hired you tomorrow paid you more than CBS is paying you, and say, Charlie, I need you to be my campaign manager. And if you got attacked every day, and surrogates got on television every day, talking about how I'm not qualified, distorting my record in significant ways, you're my campaign manager. What do you say? Don't do anything about it? So if you know.
No, I tell you what I would say to you. I would say to you, be very careful about what I said so that there was no possibility that I am accusing someone of saying something that they hadn't said based on a headline in a newspaper or based on a network report.
I don't think that that's fair. I think if you listen to what the surrogates are saying, there is, sometimes the way politics works is the candidate is very nice, but the surrogates are busy doing the dirty work.
You're saying her surrogates are doing the dirty work?
Oh, there have been terrible, attacks. There have been ads, Bernie's, on and on it goes. But look, I think the point that you're making, which I agree with, this is not a good thing.
What do you think of Ted Cruz's momentum now in the campaign against Donald Trump? You obviously know how to play politics because you're at a place that nobody, including you, believed you might be at this moment.
You think when we started at 3% that I would be surprised that the last poll or two had us 1 point ahead? Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Exactly.
Look, I think there is growing embarrassment, if you like, over the candidacy of Donald Trump. And it's not just American people in general who look at this guy and see a temperament that really is such that type of person should not be president. But I think you got a lot of saner Republicans who are feeling the same way.
What is it that disqualifies him to be president? Donald Trump first.
When you talk about, when you insult, and not talk about, when you actively insult Mexicans and Latinos, Muslims, I mean, Islam is one of the largest religions in the world. When you insult women, it seems every other day. When you insult veterans, think that John McCain was not a war hero when, of course, he was.
All of that disqualifies him to be president.
Oh, Charlie, did I say the word disqualify?
No, I was raising the question.
All right. What I think the American people are saying, you can't have a president who's busy, insulting every group of people. This was a guy also, and sometimes we forget it, as you know. He was involved in this birther movement. You remember that? Yeah. Before he was a candidate. That was an attack on the legitimacy of the presidency of our first African-American president, Barack Obama. This wasn't, I disagree with Obama. This was, he really shouldn't be president. That was a vicious and ugly attack trying to undermine the president of the United States. That was an attack not only on Obama, but the African-American community. And I think when people see that and they add that up and they say, hey, this guy should not be president of the United States.
Speaking of being president, do you think the fact that President Obama has taken super PAC money and that he has supported trade deals means that what about him as president?
Means that I have this disagreement with him. Look, I have known Barack Obama for a long time. He is a friend of mine. He came to Vermont to campaign for me when I won the Senate seat. I did my best to see that he won and was reelected. I have been very supportive of most of his initiatives. We have differences of opinion on, among other things, trade. I do not support the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Nor does Secretary Clinton.
Oh, yes, you're right. She came about after telling us that it was a very good agreement. Yes, after a lot of pressure from every union in this country, she did say that she no longer supports it.
I just want to come back to the Iraqi thing 1 second and one more question. You have made a point that she voted for the Iraqi war. Other people did as well, many other people.
Yep.
Do you hold all of them responsible for the deaths of
look,
Americans? Then why say it, Senator? That's the question.
But I am saying it because I was attacked.
You can't, that's not a reason. Charlie, that's not a reason, I promise you, to say, I'm saying it because they attacked me.
Well, I mean, I hope you ask Senator Clinton, am I responsible? Look, we have these gun tragedies that are out there. Right. Sandy Hook is about the worst thing that I can possibly think of. I mean, can you imagine mothers, dads sending their kids to school and seeing that horrific tragedy? And yet, and by the way, I have worked to ban assault weapons, the very weapon, as I understand it, that was used in that terrible, terrible slaughter of children. Right. I worked to ban it. And now, I'm being asked to apologize, so.
No, let me take a look. This is from the New York Daily News. Bernie's Sandy Hook shame.
There you go.
This is the same newspaper that's had in protecting and defending New Yorkers when President Ford essentially said, New York, drop dead. This is the same newspaper, same.
Yeah.
Does this bother you?
Of course it bothers me. I mean, you know, Sandy Hook is it's almost unspeakable, to tell you the truth, that some sick person could walk into a school and do that. I have done, let me just start off.
Okay.
You're looking at a man who ran for the United States Congress in 1988, one seat in Vermont.
Right.
I was opposed by all of the gun people. You know why, Charlie? Because I said that maybe we should not sell or distribute assault weapons designed to kill people in the United States. I lost that election by 3 points, maybe because I stood up to the gun people. So to be attacked, you know, I have a D- voting record from the NRA. So I feel, yes, of course I don't like that headline.
On the Iraq question, do you believe it, even though you say you said it because you'd been attacked? But do you believe that?
Do I believe
That Secretary Clinton is responsible for deaths in Iraq because she voted?
Look, this is what I believe.
So it's the question of what you believe.
But what I believe is that getting into the war in Iraq and believing what Bush and Cheney had to say was the worst foreign policy blunder, let me finish, in the modern history of this country. It led to massive destabilization in the region and the death of thousands of very brave and good people. It was a terrible blunder. Now, do I think that any member of the Senate or the House who votes for war is responsible for every person who dies? Of course not.
Then don't say it.
Well, Charlie, this is a one-way lecture here, but there are two candidates running. I have been attacked over and over again. I have been called, unqualified to be president, and I don't like that. So if you're making the point many, many times that you want the tenor of this campaign to be higher, and I agree with you.
And do you make the point that, notwithstanding the tenor of this campaign, we're engaged in an energetic debate about what we believe in and what we would do as president, and that come November 2016, if Hillary Clinton is the nominee, you will be supporting her?
I think I would love to hear Hillary Clinton make the same point that she will be supporting me.
I'll ask her that. I'll ask her that very
The answer
question.
is I
so
will
you
do,
answer the question with respect to her
sure
first, if you will.
Sure, I will. I will do. Look, as I've said a million times, I think the idea of a Donald Trump or a Ted Cruz presidency would be an unmitigated disaster for this country. I will do everything in my power and work as hard as I can to make sure that that does not happen. And if Secretary Clinton is the nominee, I will certainly support her.
There is enthusiasm for your candidacy. And my final question, is it because they're opposed to Secretary Clinton, or is it because somehow between you and the voters in this primary season, there's been a connection about the future of America? Which is it?
I think it's the latter.
Would you think it's part of the former?
I can't answer that. I don't know that. But I think if you go, we just had a rally in Philadelphia last night. I think we had 14,000 people out. And a lot of working class people, a lot of young people, and who really understand that as the great nation we are, we can do much, much better than we have been doing, and they want to be part of that process. And I think the agenda that we have outlined is something that they're responding to strongly.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.